All right, welcome to the Bird Rights podcast. This is episode one. Today we're going to be going over Wild Card Weekend preview and some of our bets. I'm joined by three of the biggest ball knowers of football in the entire world. My name is Zach, and I'm joined by Jack, Declan, and Nick. So this is episode one. This is our Thursday pod, going over Wild Card Weekend for the NFL. So first off, we're going to start with our wild card weekend preview and predictions. We're just going to go over every wild card game, kind of talk about the stories that are going on, and the over unders, all the bets, and give our picks. First off, we're going to start with Dolphins Bills. Fellas, what are we thinking for this absolute massacre of a game that's about to happen?
I'm
Well, Zach,
thinking,
I think the Bills are going to shit on them. If I'm being honest with you, sir,
Yeah,
don't
this is
really see a path to victory for Skylar Thompson in this one.
this is going to be a murder. It's going to be bad. It's going to be
the
bad.
Dolphins' run defense is has been better, but unfortunately, that doesn't fucking matter against the Bills, because their pass defense has been one of the worst in the league, all season, really.
Bills also
Um,
don't really run the ball, but
yeah, exactly. The Bills don't run the ball. There's approximately a 0% chance that the Dolphins win. I don't think it's
mhm.
I I mean, if Teddy plays, I suppose they could cover. Um,
I don't think there's going to be a significant
The
difference
line would I think the line would
in
change if
Thompson and
Teddy were to play
Bridgewater.
a little bit, you know. Um, but I think if Tua was playing, it'd be a pretty electric game, honestly. Like it would be one of the more fun games of the
Fun.
season. But now that unfortunately Tua is having his injury problems, it's
Yeah.
probably going to be a blowout. Like the Bills, everyone knows are a better roster and probably not like the Dolphins don't have talent because they do, especially on offense. But the Bills are just so well rounded and they have a proven QB that can win.
that's not to say
We're being
the Bills haven't been perfect recently. The
No,
Bills
they're
have
not
actually
perfect.
no,
They're
shown
no.
some
not.
flaws, but
Every team has
it's
flaws, though.
not they're not they have flaws that have been exposed, but they won't be exposed against Miami.
I also
They
think that
don't
they're gonna
they don't
have
Bills
have much.
Bills also
a fire lit
Bills
under
also
them from
seem
tomorrow.
kind of like a Cinderella story team now with everything that's happened recently. It kind of seems like this could be their
Yeah,
year,
Yep.
especially with the
for
game
sure.
yesterday with like the whole like
The two
kickoff
kickoff
return at the
returns.
beginning of the game. Like
Yeah,
it just seems like it's going to be their year. They're really
Maybe it's meant to
motivated,
be.
all of that stuff, and yeah, I mean, Skylar Thompson or Teddy Bridgewater, whoever starts doesn't really matter. I don't think the Dolphins
yeah.
are
I
going to
don't. I don't think it
cover.
matters if it was Tua. Although it would.
Yeah,
It's a shame we're not seeing another a rematch of that Dolphins Bills game that was earlier in the year with Tua. That was a great
That
game.
was very
Even
electric.
the game in the snow, the winter weather, that was a good game
hmm
too. They had
yeah.
two really good matchups. This one's it's not the
Yeah.
same. It's kind of, another team had a really good matchup earlier in the year who's not going to have good of a matchup this wild card weekend that we'll talk about later.
Yeah,
But
that'll be on the
Right.
palette.
yeah, I'd say if we can just go with our spread picks for this game, I tentatively pick Bills minus 13 and a half. I tend to stay away from any NFL game with an over 10-point spread unless I'm taking the underdog. I can't bring myself to bet on Skylar Thompson, so I would call this one a stay away. But if I had to pick, I'd take Bills minus 13 and a half, but I'd really avoid this one.
I confidently pick
No.
Bills minus 13 and a half.
You,
Don't see Skylar Thompson putting up enough points against this Bills defense. And I really just feel like my prediction is Josh Allen throws 4 touchdowns. He might run for a fifth.
W. That's a W take.
yeah, I think that the Bills are gonna cover. Like it is a pretty big spread, especially for a playoff game. Like two teams that are supposed to be pretty good in division rivals and everything. But I just don't like Skylar Thompson is just not good enough. Like that's really what it comes down to. Like I think the Dolphins could pull off an upset if Tua was healthy and everything was firing, but we do not have that this week.
No, yeah, I agree with all you guys. I think the Bills cover minus 13 and a half. I just don't really see a way that the Dolphins could make this a close game, honestly. It's kind of a small sample size, but Josh Allen does have the best passer rating in playoff history. He hasn't played that much, but he's been amazing when he plays in the playoffs. So I think that also adds something to it. But yeah, I just don't trust Skylar Thompson at all or Teddy Bridgewater. Whoever plays doesn't matter. I just don't see a pathway for them to even make a close game.
Yeah, I
Um,
uh, I just looked. I wanted to. I'm curious to check. Generally, you want to fade the public, and you'll win about 55% of the time. About 74% of the money is coming in on the Bills right now, which I get. So that's why it's a stay away from me because I don't. Vegas is smart. They cover their asses usually, and if only 25% of the money is coming in on Miami, they're not moving that line too far for a reason. And I'd try and stay away from a spread that big. But my brain is telling me surely the Bills win by more than 13.5. But I'd stay away
Yeah.
from this one.
I mean, who knows? It's going to be a cold game. So, I mean, you never know. It could be like a really slow game. That could be a low scoring game, but I still just don't see that happening, really. The Bills'
don't
offense
see
is
it.
so high powered. And
Yeah.
They're used
Dolphins
to playing in the
defense
snow as
isn't
well.
very
Like
good,
they have
yeah.
And even the Bills' offense has tripped it a little bit at times, but Josh Allen on his own could beat this team with
the
nobody. With
team
with
from
just with John
Buffalo.
Brown and Cole Beasley alone, he could beat
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, the cold weather gives the Bills another edge too, in my opinion, because Buffalo
Right.
versus Miami and everything. So
Yeah.
All right,
Alright,
yeah. So moving
move
on,
on. Yeah.
our next game is Cowboys Bucks. Spreads plus 2.5. So what are we thinking on this game? What are we feeling?
I think the Bucks win this game. They're underdogs in this one. I think Tampa wins this game at home. They beat them earlier in the year. Dallas has coming off a bizarre, terrible, worst game of the season. One of Dak's worst games of his career
Mhm.
against Washington last week. That was he's his third lowest passer rating ever. It was a terrible game, and that's not something you want to put on tape before the playoffs start. And interesting, so obviously Dallas had a much better regular season, 12-5 versus 8-9 Bucks, but Tampa had a much harder strength of schedule. Tampa had a really tough strength of schedule, and I not that I think Tampa's a juggernaut or anything, but I think if it's a close game late in the fourth quarter, which I think it will, I don't think anybody here thinks Dallas is going to be up 14 or two scores in the fourth
Yeah,
quarter.
no way.
If it's a 6-point game with 5 minutes left, I'm putting my money on Brady as opposed to putting my money on Mike McCarthy. Mike
Yeah.
McCarthy has a track record of not doing well in these spots, and Dallas has never beaten Brady in his career. So I think Tampa pulls this one out late, and I think they can win this, and I think they can win straight up without the plus 2.5.
You know, I agree with everything you said. At the same time, when I look at these two teams, I see in both of them just pure volatility. I mean, I look at the Bucks and I see, okay, they got Tom Brady. I don't want to bet against Tom Brady. But at the same time, I think the Cowboys are, easily the better team. But you're right.
Yeah.
Both
Talent-wise, it's not close.
both teams they've won games they shouldn't have won and lost a lot of games they shouldn't have lost all year. And it just makes it my stay away game of the week. But if I was to join you, I think I would take the points. So, I would take the Bucks, but don't feel good about it. But I guess I'll ride. I'd rather, like you said, I'd rather ride with Uncle Tom than than Mike McCarthy.
I'll give you a good kiss on the lips to send you to victory.
Mhm.
And Dakota Prescott.
Hey yo.
I don't know if I think his son's hoping for the Cowboys to win this one. So
No, I don't know. It's a tough prediction for me, but I think I would lean Cowboys in this one. Like, if the Bucks were in any other division, but damn near they wouldn't have made the playoffs. Like, I know we talked about how the Cowboys have also lost games they shouldn't have lost, but you can basically say for every team, especially this
Yeah.
year, where I don't think any team's really emerged as like a perfect team by any stretch. But I think the Cowboys roster is just better, and like
It
the
is.
Bucks,
Unquestionably, it is.
I think even you guys didn't want to disagree with that when it
Yeah.
got put out there. I will say that the Tampa is at home, which gives them the edge. But Dallas was almost the best team in the East. It came down to the last weeks, and I don't know. I just think that the talent will reign supreme.
Dallas
Well,
is a
yeah,
stat I saw.
Hurts was out for a few weeks. That's really why it came down
They
to the
still
wire.
won
But
4 more games than
Yeah.
than the
Dallas,
Bucks.
I saw
with the strength of
so
schedule.
here's an interesting. Kobe mentioned them being home. Dallas this year is, I believe, 11-1 at home and on indoor turf surfaces, or not indoor, just indoor surfaces. And they have lost 4 games while playing outside, and they've only won 1 game while playing outside. With that, I
That's
just
not
don't.
great.
It's not great, and obviously Tampa is outside. I think people, and Jason Garrett actually said that on Sunday Night Countdown. It's kind of illuminating coming from someone who coached the Dallas Cowboys for 8-9 years or whatever he did. Dallas unquestionably has a better roster. They have so much talent. Their defense should be shut down. It should be. But it's been up and down despite that. T.Y. Hilton's given them a weird boost, but it didn't matter last week.
Didn't expect
Dallas, Dallas and Mike McCarthy, I just don't trust. They have a track record of being untrustworthy in these spots. And I mean, Tampa's been untrustworthy all year, but I'm gonna lean that Brady finds a way and wins, 19-17 or something stupid.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bucks are gonna pull this one out in a close game. I just trust Tom Brady more than Dak Prescott. Like I think it's kind of like what you guys all said. Like the Bucks roster, I mean, it's not as good as the Cowboys, but it's still a pretty good roster. And I mean, they're pretty battle tested, and they've been to the Super Bowl before. They've gone on deep playoff runs, and obviously Tom Brady. Dak Prescott this year has not been, normal Dak Prescott. He's leading the league in interceptions, and he's just not the same. So, I mean, the Cowboys have a really good rushing attack, but I don't even know if they'll get that, up and started against the Bucks with, Vita Vea and that defense, which, has some good players on it. So you never know, they could turn it around, and, really lock down the Cowboys. But I think the Bucks pull this one out at home. But yeah, all right, next, moving on. We got Seahawks 49ers -9.5. The intense quarterback battle of Geno Smith versus Brock Purdy. Fellas, what are we feeling on this one?
I'm thinking Big Cock Brock can pull this out. He's undefeated. He's never lost as a 49er.
Are you talking with the spread as well?
I'd take -9.5. I don't like big spreads, so I wouldn't personally bet this game. But 9.5 actually is low enough. I think it's 2 scores. I think 10 at least. I feel more comfortable about that big spread than I do about Buffalo. 13.5. That's a big number. But I think the Niners, since the McCaffrey trade, since he was really there, they played 1 game against the Chiefs when he played like 8, 9, 10 snaps or whatever, and they lost. But since then, they were 3-4 and they haven't lost. They're 10-0 since then. And even since Jimmy G went down, they were undefeated with Brock Purdy. That's not to say Brock Purdy's an elite quarterback or anything. Brock Purdy's fine. He's probably about the same as Jimmy Garoppolo. But that roster, they have the best defense in football, or at least one of the 2 best defenses in football easily. They've been playing. Nick Bosa deserves Defensive Player of the Year consideration. Fred Warner's a game changer playing inside linebacker this year. He changes the way they can play defense. They're kind of they run like a cover 6 shell behind Fred Warner because the strong side linebacker can move around and cover more ground there, and Fred Warner allows them to do that. And I think the Seattle has had trouble attacking that cover 6 defense this year, and I think that will continue. You never like a third matchup for a divisional team that's swept them, because usually that can be trouble, right? Like when Tampa played New Orleans a few years ago, or when like Cleveland beat Pittsburgh after they got swept in the regular season. That seems to happen a lot. But I think in this case, I think the 49ers are so much better top to bottom, and I take them to cover and win handily.
I agree. I think it comes down to there's a lot. I mean, you're right. The Niners are better in every single facet than the Seahawks, but I think the factor that's really going to decide this game is that Niners front versus the Seahawks O-line and Geno Smith. I think that Geno Smith is going to go to bed the night after and be having nightmares of Nick Bosa all over him. I think Nick Bosa might have 3 sacks. I mean, I just feel like Geno Smith is going to be constantly under pressure. I don't think they're going to be able to get anything going really, and I feel like the Niners are just going to play their game. I feel like they're going to hand the ball off. They're going to play safe, smooth football, and they're going to win by probably like probably I'm going to say like 28-10.
13. Sure.
Yeah, it's
10.
13, sure.
That sounds
So
pretty right to me.
I'll go Niners on this one as well.
Yes, I also feel the Niners are going to cover. I mean, it's I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but they are really better in everything. Like the Seahawks defense is actually like one of the worst in the league. They don't have many difference makers on that side of the ball, as opposed to the Niners really having like a good player in every key position. Like I think that's really important.
They have all pros in every position group, offense and defense. They have one all pro in every position group. It's like in the past 3 years an all pro.
Yes.
It's the best roster I've seen, like outside of quarterback in the last 5 years.
Yeah, they're gonna dominate time of possession and keep it out of the Seahawks offense, which is surprisingly very good this year. Not a lot of people saw that coming, but it is one of the best offenses in the league. And but I think the Niners can handle them. Just keep the ball out of their hands and just pound the rock and make them worn out. I'm gonna say they
Yeah, I
cover.
mean, so yeah. So I'm actually gonna go against what everyone here is saying. I'm picking the Seahawks to win this game. This is my stay away game of the week.
To
I think
win
the
it.
Seahawks. I have the Seahawks winning
Wow.
this
How is it
game
your
against
how
the
is it your stay
49ers.
away then? How is it your stay away if you're saying this? If the Seahawks are going to win, surely they'll cover 9.5. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Takeaway. I take back the takeaway. I still pick the Seahawks this game. I think Geno Smith has been the best story in the NFL. He's the comeback player of the year, most likely. He's been amazing this year. Their wide receiver, their wide receivers. They have good wide receivers. They have a good passing offense, top 5 in yardage for passing offense. And they have a really explosive rushing offense. They're top 10 in 20-plus yard plays with 18, tied with the Baltimore Ravens with explosive rushing yards or rushing plays. Kenneth Walker's been an amazing rookie. He's young. He's got new legs. So I think he could be really good this game as well. Most of the time I bet against, the quarterbacks that don't play in the playoffs, but it was one of the rare times where both quarterbacks haven't had any playoff experience at all. And I just think the Seahawks have been a really good story this year. That entire fan base is so much behind Geno Smith. And I mean, their offensive line is pretty ass. I'm not gonna lie, pretty ass.
They got their young tackles are good. Charles
Cross and Abraham Lucas.
Abe Lucas. I like their tackles.
Yeah, their tackles are pretty good and young.
Interiors,
their defense. They have some guys on defense. They have Tariq Woolen, who led the league in interceptions this year. They have Quandre Diggs, who was pretty good. And they have some guys. They lost Jordan Brooks for the year, which is kind of a big loss. But I'm taking the unpopular pick, and I'm taking the Seahawks here to beat the 49ers.
It's so funny that it really feels like even the Seattle front office didn't expect them to be here. It's
my God, yeah.
This is so far down the line in their rebuild. They just hit on so many picks in this draft.
It's unheard of. It's like this. It's like that Saints 2017 draft when they got Marcus Williams and Kamara and Lattimore and all these guys. Ramczyk. It's very similar to that draft. And the thing is, like you said about their rebuild, they have that Denver pick and their first and their second. They have 2 more top 40 picks. They have a top 5, whatever it is. It's like 7 or whatever from Denver. Maybe it's 6 or whatever it is.
It's 5.
Oh, it's 5. Okay. They have a top 5 pick, and then they're getting the Denver second round pick. It's kind of they're in a great spot moving forward.
I wonder what happens to Geno.
I
think they keep him around. I think you keep him around. Maybe they draft a guy in the second round. Maybe they're like a second, third round Hendon Hooker team. Maybe they take a shot.
I think his fate might come down to how they play in this game.
Yeah, that's true.
I think
It's a
he's
little
their
unfair,
starter.
but
I think he's their starter next year, no matter what. I guess
Yeah.
I think you're right though. If they play well and if they win, he's their unquestioned starter. If they lose, they still might draft a guy to sit behind him, have him Alex Smith for a year or two, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And one more thing on this game, where I'm located in Santa Clara, California, where this game is being played, weather's going to rarely does weather play a factor. Weather's going to play a huge factor. Crazy rainstorms over the last week, and there's going to be a huge amount of rain Friday and Saturday. And it's supposed to be raining really hard during that game. It could be kind of a swamp kind of a game.
that might
it
def-
will be on
That
Saturday.
probably
the
favors
49ers.
Seattle.
You
Yeah.
think?
I think so.
I mean, I feel like it could deflate
Seattle's a
the
very
passing
rainy
game.
area.
I feel like it could do
Yeah,
damage
sure.
to the lock it in.
Well, then again,
Metcalf.
if it's a rainy, low scoring game,
I think
that
it
would favor
favors
the Seahawks.
the under 42
Okay,
and a half.
sure.
It does.
Yeah, if you think it's going to slow the offense down severely, then that makes sense.
Yeah, I just think this is going to be, it's either going to be a blowout or a really close win for the Seahawks. A blowout 49ers win or a close Seahawks win, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on. Next game we got is Giants Vikings. The spread's -3.
Vikings
We got big quarterback battle here. Kirk Cousins versus Daniel Jones. What do we think, guys?
I think this is.
I think it's the two whitest QBs of all time.
I
playing each other in this
think that was
game.
exactly what I was going to say.
Really?
Yeah. That's my only takeaway. I got
This
nothing else to
game,
say.
I don't know. I don't want to say this. This game doesn't matter. Like, the winner of this game is going to get absolutely annihilated by either the Niners or the Eagles, depending on who wins.
Yeah.
I think the Giants are kind of a trendy pick. That's a lot of the money's coming in on the Giants, and people are like, "Oh, there's a lot of people like that upset." And I'm kind of, I think I'd just take the home team. I kind of feel similarly about both of these teams. Spread wise, I guess I'd take the Giants in the points because I think it's a field goal game either way. So I'd take the Giants +3. But if I had to pick, I'd say I think in Minnesota they're just going to force feed Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson's going to have 190 receiving yards in this game, maybe 200. He's going to go crazy because that's 80% of their
That's who
offense.
he is,
And I think the Vikings, as the Vikings have all year, will squeak out a field goal victory. Would be my guess, and I'd still take the Giants +3 because I don't see the Vikings winning by more than a field goal. I mean, I could certainly see the Giants winning. I'm going to pick the Vikings, but I think there's no way it's more than a field goal game. I think it's going to be like the Vikings have been all year.
I agree. Vikings, what were they, like 11-1 in 1-score games or something?
Yeah, 11
crazy like that.
11-1.
Crazy.
Actually, they might have been 11-0.
I
They
don't
know.
They didn't lose.
It's insane how many close games they played.
But
And won.
yeah, I think I'm gonna pick the Giants to win outright. Definitely with the points. I like Declan said, the winner of this game is just gonna get destroyed in the next round. But let's give the Giants fans the playoff win they've been desperately wanting for so long. So
How long has it been since the Giants won a playoff game? Since the last Eli Super Bowl, right? Since 2011.
I believe
Yeah, I
so. Yeah,
guess.
they made the
Yeah.
playoffs a while ago
16.
against the Packers.
16.
But they lost.
It was
16 they made
Yeah.
it.
the boat picture year.
Yeah.
They got beaten down by the Packers. Yeah. I'm gonna take the Giants to win outright as well, but especially with the points, I think like the Vikings, like you think just based off their record, especially that they should be much better and that they should win, but everyone kind of realizes that they're a little bit fraudulent. And Football Outsiders has them ranked as the third worst team in football, which I think might be a little bit extreme. But I'm just telling you, I'm just telling you where they're
They
at.
won 13 games.
Look, I was surprised to see that too, but they are ranked 30th in DVOA according to Football Outsiders.
Fair
And
enough.
the Giants come in at around middle of the pack, which isn't great either. But I think that if there's an upset to pick to go for this week, this is my selection. So You
See
guys summed
this-
up a lot of the other things that I'm going to
Yeah.
say, but
See this
the reaction to that stat was
See
was,
this
was
see
pretty
this
funny.
team see this team that went 13-4. Yeah, they're the
Yeah.
worst
They
team in
suck.
football.
They're bottom 3. They should have been yeah. They
Their
should be
Texans
looking
are better
for-
than them.
They should
They're
be drafting
bad at
Stroud.
football. Bad.
All right. That's my
No, but yeah,
Sounds
I'm
like we
gonna
have
take the
much more to
Vikings
say.
for this game. I'm not sure about the spread, but I think it's gonna be a close game. So I think it's probably a field goal game. I think the Vikings just they have more playoff experience, obviously, which I favor quite a bit. They're at home, and then also they just have more star power. And I'm gonna trust some of these guys to just make big plays when it counts. New York has Saquon, but that's like kind of about it. Minnesota has like Kirk's good, and then they have Dalvin Cook. They have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. You could say T.J. Hawkinson. Like they have guys that can make plays like just out of nowhere. So I think like I just trust their offense, playoff experience. Their offensive line is actually they have some pieces there. Looking at PFF right now, Christian Darrisaw has a 90 PFF grade, which is in the
Darrisaw's had a
elite
monster
category.
year. He's had a monster year.
He has been amazing at the
So was
left
Andrew
tackle
Thomas,
position.
though. There's two great tackles in this game.
No, yeah.
True.
And then I don't know. Brian Dable's a really good coach. So,
You get Daboll's
I think the
props.
Giants
Dable-
will keep it a close game. But I just trust the Vikings, and they have more stars. I just think they'll pull it out at home.
Important to note, this is a Sunday at 1 p.m. game for Kirk Cousins. So
Oh,
Mhm.
that could make a difference. I don't know if the
Been
playoffs
notorious.
changes that, but it is Sunday at 1 p.m. or it's 1 p.m. my
That's
time.
fair.
I think it's 4 p.m. on the East Coast.
Yeah, let me look.
1 p.m. here.
where is it? What time is it in Minnesota? I guess
Three.
it's
Yeah, all right.
Central
It's
time.
a 4:30 game Eastern time. Not sure what time it is in
So
Minnesota.
it's 3:30. So the first half hour of that is like the 1 p.m. window.
He's
Look
gonna
for the
have
Vikings
two
to
picks in
go
the
up
first
big.
quarter.
If you want to throw some
Uh,
money down, throw the over under scores for the first quarter.
Maybe
Just bet the Vikings just over everything.
maybe go Vikings first half winner, Giants overall winner as a parlay.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
you could get
yeah.
plus
Okay.
plus.
Yeah.
plus
You're right
good
though,
money on that.
Declan. I can see this, even if it's a close game. I feel like the Vikings' path to victory is Justin Jefferson just taking over the game, just
Mhm.
completely taking over the game.
Because the Giants are.
But,
This is why Dable's been so impressive. The Giants are
Yeah.
devoid of top end talent outside of Andrew Thomas. Really, it's Andrew
And
Thomas, like
Saquon.
Kate, and Saquon,
Yeah.
and Saquon, and Kayvon's been great at the end of the year. But
Yeah.
and their nose tackle's pretty good.
Yeah.
And
And
their
yet,
their
Dalvin
roster is one of the
Tomlinson,
worst in
Dalvin
football.
Tomlinson has been one of the best
Yeah.
nose tackles in football. This
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, Dalvin
that's why Dable's my pick for coach of the year. But we'll
I'll
get into that
give it to him.
on a
We'll get to
later
that
episode.
on another time.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So
Next time on Bird Rights.
here we're gonna move on past Giants Vikings to our favorite game of the week, Ravens versus Bengals, which the spread is now after the Lamar news minus 9.5. Lamar has just come out and said that he's most likely not going to play. He's got a grade 2 PCL sprain, which means he's got a partially torn PCL. I mean, honestly, even if we somehow pull this game out of our ass, he's not going to play the rest of the season, I think. So I think it's the last we've seen of Lamar. So yeah, I think it'll be closer than a lot of people imagine, but personally, I don't see Snoop Huntley pulling a playoff win out against a team that just made the Super Bowl last year.
Against Joe
What
Burrow.
about Anthony Brown? Do you see him pulling it up?
What about Brett
If
Hell
it
Hundley?
was
no.
Anthony
Yeah.
Brown, I'd be
What
hammering
about
it if
what
it was
about
like minus
what about
20.
what
What
about
about Brett?
Andy?
Was it Brett Hundley? Nick Hundley?
Brett
What was
Hundley.
his
Brett
name?
Hundley.
Andy-
Nick Hundley,
Andy
the
Isabella?
Orioles catcher.
Andy Isabella. Andy
They just get
Isabella, the
lost in my
Wildcat?
mind, all these names.
Wildcat.
Andy Isabella Wildcat. Oh man. What if we just go into their locker room and shoot all their players before the game? I think
Have
that's
Andy Isabella.
that's the path to victory in this one.
In case our singular viewer couldn't tell, we're Ravens fans
Yeah.
here. Hi, Dad.
Hey, Brad.
No.
The Ravens, we have no chance.
No.
As Ravens fans, we've gotten to see a lot of playoff football since we've been fans of like 2008. Since Flacco came in, since post Flacco, since Lamar, we've seen a lot of playoff games, and we're lucky for that. This is the first time in my life we're going into a playoff game, and I'm thinking to myself, I I can't even like optimistically like, oh, if the game goes this way, we can win this game. I don't. If we win this game, I will be in shock
You know what
beyond comprehension if
genuinely,
Tyler Huntley wins this game.
I think the only way we win this game, and I don't want this to happen, is if something horrific happens to Joe Burrow in like the first drive of the game.
And I don't, like
You know what's nice going into the game with zero expectations though.
Or if
So
it's like,
like
sure,
0.000% chance.
I mean, it's still gonna hurt.
I'm sure though. I actually, so here I said all that said, I do think 9.5 is high for a divisional for a third division game. Our defense looked really good last week. I have confidence in our defense. The defense has been playing great since Roquan got there. Bringing a bunch of Andrews is playing. We lost by 11 last week.
Dobbins was out. Andrews was out. Edwards was out.
Edwards was out.
Huntley was out.
Peters was out. Huntley was out. And Tyler Huntley's not good. Let's get that off the chest. But he's a lot better than Anthony Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Huntley's
got starter experience in the NFL.
He's won games before.
Yeah. Tyler Huntley is the 40th best quarterback in the league or something like that. 44th. Anthony Brown's not going to be in the league in a few weeks.
Anthony Brown is like the 70th or 80th best quarterback.
Yeah, so Tyler Huntley at least gives you, some level of experience there where I don't think he's certainly not going to win you the game, but I don't think he's going to throw it away the way, Anthony Brown had 2 picks in the span of 3 plays and then fumbled in the end zone the next possession.
So horrible.
I
turned the game off after that.
Yeah, I think 9.5 is 9.5 is too many. I'd wait. I think the spread's going to move to 10.5. And if it does, I'd pounce on that. I'd bet it at 9.5. I actually like Ravens plus 9.5. Then again, like if it was, I certainly think they're going to lose by. I certainly think the Ravens are going to lose by a field goal to 10 points, somewhere between that. There might be a garbage time touchdown or something, but I actually kind of like Ravens plus 9.5. But they have almost no chance of winning this game. I suppose if there's a defensive touchdown and we take care of the ball, then there's a chance. But that's that's the only way.
Jokes aside, like JK being back, if we really take over this game running the ball and our defense, which has been amazing, plays its best game of the year. I mean, we need like multiple turnovers and probably a defensive score.
It's going to be hard to do it in Cincinnati. I think if it was in Baltimore, the energy could be
in
there.
Cincinnati, you need to get to 24 points. I think the best you can ask this defense to do against what is one of the 3 best offenses in the league, as good as our defense is, the most you can possibly ask for is keep them under 24. Keep them under, keep them at 17 to 24. If you can keep them in that range, and then you can, Huntley hasn't gotten us to 20 points all year, so that's still optimistic. But I think that's the path. But the Bengals are. I'm very confident the Bengals are winning this game.
Yeah, if the Bengals put up more than 20, the game is over for sure. Unless like the Ravens get like multiple defensive touchdowns somehow. There's like it would take the best offensive game Snoop has had all year. The Snoop-led offense, and one of the best offensive games of the season for the Ravens to somehow pull this one out. It's pretty sad that it has to come to this. Like the offense at this point is just so anemic, especially when you compare it to the defense and how like they've come on these last couple weeks. But what can you do, I guess?
Ravens have never really been an offensive team, but I can confidently say this is the worst offense I've ever seen.
Yeah, they can't score
as a Ravens fan.
That's the big problem.
Yeah, it's since Lamar's been out,
I've ever seen. I mean, my whole life.
Even the last game Lamar played in full was that Jacksonville game. We put up 27 points, and that was we settled for field goals. I would have liked us to go
the first 3 drives.
Yeah,
the first 3 drives.
Inside
10 yards.
Our first 4 scores were less than 35-yard field goals. We had 12 points, but we were still moving the ball. I think since Lamar's been out, there's nothing there.
No, yeah, I genuinely think this is the worst offense that the Ravens have had in a long time. Kind of reminds me of the Mark Trestman 3-4 week period of Ravens.
The Mark Trestman 2015 team with Kamar Aiken as the wide receiver one and Terrence West as the running back.
I genuinely think that the only way that we could win is like we were saying before, best defensive game of the season, and I think we need at least one defensive touchdown. A Marcus Peters masterclass, hopefully.
Yeah.
Because
He's
Joe
due.
Burrow does
He's
he
due.
does throw interceptions, but yeah, like Nick just said, Marcus Peters is due for a game. He is due. So I mean,
Usually, we've been getting mad at Peters for playing too aggressive. We need him to play super aggressive today and get
yes.
one because we're not scoring on offense.
Yeah.
And,
I mean-
our defense is probably going to be a little pissed off because the Bengals have been kind of whining all week about
And
being
gloating.
a
And
dirty
gloating.
dirty game last week. So
They're so happy. to be
hopefully
Anthony
they
I
Brown.
haven't
they come with
hated-
some aggression.
I haven't hated a team as much as I do the Bengals right now since like the prime Steelers years.
Yeah.
Burrow just does not shut up ever. He's like,
Mhm.
the Super Bowl window is as long as I'm here.
Like, yeah, man, you have
We get
two
you're
of the,
confident, but like
yeah, but
dude,
he has
Oh
two
my
of
God,
the 12
just
best
annoying.
receivers in the league on rookie contracts. Like
Just because
he
it's
can't,
true
yeah.
doesn't mean. I mean,
But it's I don't even
Yeah.
know that it's true because right now
I don't
he's
think
throwing
it really is.
He has two receivers, one of the 3 or 4 best in the league, and another one of the
Yeah.
12 best in the league, both on rookie deals. Like maybe the window is his whole career, but this is maybe his best chances because everyone's still cheap, and then eventually
agree.
it won't be that case.
Yeah, Burrow is good, but he's not like a generational like game changer.
No.
He knows that he's not.
Yeah.
He might
not,
he might be the third best quarterback in the league, but
He's not Mahomes.
He's not Mahomes. Yeah.
like
I'll tell you what.
Mahomes' window is his whole career.
If Lamar is truly gone, that no one is threatening the Bengals. No one.
Yeah.
For a
Well,
long
No, yeah, I
we'll
mean
get into
the
that.
only
No
like,
one.
potential challenger would be, I guess, the Browns if they
They're
somehow
stuck.
put it together.
No
but
shot.
The Browns have not looked good at all.
And they're
So-
stuck. Their assets
Yeah.
are all tied up because of the way they
Browns got
structured that
destroyed by the
Washington contract.
Steelers.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
for the Browns, Kareem Hunt's gone. Nick Chubb's on a big deal. Sean Watson's on a horrible deal. Amari
Oh,
Cooper is on a
horrible's
bad deal
understatement.
as well. I just yeah.
We'll get into the future of the AFC North and Lamar another time, but
Yeah.
for now, the Bengals are winning this game. and
Justice Hill
clearly-
masterclass.
Yeah, Justice Hill.
Channel his inner Naeem Hines.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Bengals are winning this game handily, and I think they have control of the division for now at least. If Lamar comes back, we'll see, but not this year. I mean next year, but we'll get to that later. We can move on to the last game now.
All right, yeah.
Chargers.
We're gonna move on to our
Chargers,
last
Jaguars.
game, which is Chargers versus Jaguars, which is plus 2.5. I think this is probably. I think we can all agree. I don't know if we all agree, but I think this is probably going to be one of the better games this weekend. Trevor
I'm
Lawrence is
excited to watch.
first. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Herbert, both their first playoff appearances. We don't know if Mike Williams is playing yet, and Brandon Staley is an absolute dumbass. So, what are we feeling, guys? What are we thinking on this game?
I think Brandon Staley's a good coach with some good stuff, but playing all of his guys last week was one of the dumbest things I've ever. Like it was a
Mhm.
meaningless game. They were locked into that 5 seed, and they were just even worse was Williams got hurt, and then Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert played the rest of the game.
Yeah, he didn't learn his
Mhm.
lesson mid game
It
either.
was really good. I think it's good. This is the game I'm most excited for. I think it's gonna be the best game of the week.
In
And
Jacksonville as well.
in Jacksonville, that'll be a lot
Yeah.
of fun. The playoff games in Jacksonville in 2017 were a lot of fun to watch, and that environment looks like it was awesome.
These fans have been waiting for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it could be a really good game, kind of a coming out party for. It's going to be a coming out party, a kind of a statement of I'm here for one of these two quarterbacks.
Mhm.
One of these two quarterbacks is
To
going
get to the divisional round.
to get to the divisional round and get probably a matchup with the Chiefs, unless the Ravens or Dolphins pull on something crazy, which I don't see happening. But one of these guys is going to get a chance to go head to head with Mahomes in the divisional round, and kind of announce themselves as a top 5-ish. I think Herbert's already a top 5 quarterback, but Lawrence is right on the outside of that. I think what Doug Peterson's done with that team and with their additions in the offseason, they built this really well-rounded receiving core that I like. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Etienne catching passes. None of them are elite. I mean, Etienne's elite. He's really good, but none of the receivers are like elite talents, but it's just super well-rounded, and Doug Peterson's a great offensive mind. I think Jacksonville would be my pick in this game. I think Chargers are still more banged up than people like to admit. Mike Williams, we'll see if he plays. He might play, but you don't know how healthy he's going to be. Bosa just came back. He hasn't quite looked right. And they've had a bunch of injuries early on the season to the offensive line. I think Jacksonville wins a very close game, but I'd take Jacksonville plus the points. That's probably my most confident bet of the week. Jacksonville at home getting 2.5. I'd pick Jacksonville in a very close game and one I'm really excited to watch.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Jags at home aren't getting points. You know, I I really like Trevor Lawrence. It'd be great to see the Jags win. The Chargers for a long time were my second favorite team. So I would say I agree. This is the game I'm definitely most looking forward to. And I also agree that I think Jags win it in a close one. I think regardless of whether or not Mike Williams comes back, although he is a huge difference maker for that offense. They did not look right when one of Keenan Allen or Mike Williams was missing, especially both, which they had to deal with for a while there. And yeah, I think especially at home getting points, I'm taking the Jags for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think like what you said about the points is true. I think they're pretty evenly matched teams, but when you're in Jacksonville and those fans are, haven't really got a lot of like playoff football to watch, they should really this year they're gonna be there big time, so supporting their team. And I don't know. I think when the Jags beat the Ravens, it was more so the manner of how they did it, because we all agree that the Ravens probably should have won that game. But I think we were all pretty pissed off, we're maybe underrating that what the Jaguars have become over these last couple of weeks, and I think that this is the start of something new for them. The Chargers maybe were like a hot team on the rise like a little bit ago, but if the Jags can win this game, they can kind of solidify themselves as maybe even crossing that threshold before the Chargers did, which would be a little bit ahead of schedule. And I don't know, overall, I think that the Jags have had some more momentum recently, and that'll carry them to victory this weekend.
No, yeah, I also agree. I think that the Jags are going to pull this one out at home. These fans have been waiting a really long time. Obviously, they made the playoff and had that run back with Blake Bortles a few years ago, but they've just been, through so much adversity this season, and then this fan base has been through so much over the past century, even. Like it's been a lot for the Jags. They have not been a good team.
They've only been around 30 years, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the hottest team in football right now. I think that they are really just all clicking right now, especially their offense. Zay Jones has really come onto the scene again. Evan Ingram has actually been really good this season, which has come to a surprise to a lot of people. Christian Kirk's been pretty okay. Travis Etienne's obviously been good. We were talking about that. And Trevor Lawrence obviously has just been he ever since the second half of the season, he has just been one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I just think that both these teams don't really have much playoff experience, and I just think that the Jags are clicking right now. I think at home, I don't really see if the Chargers can obviously beat them. I just don't know if it's going to happen in an away game at Jacksonville. That place is probably going to be really loud, and that's a tough task for a guy like Justin Herbert, who's going to be going into his first playoff game, and even like his first really like big game in the NFL. I mean,
the Raiders game last year at the end of the season was a win and in game. That was a big one.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I can agree with that. Definitely. I also think that the Jags defense, it doesn't have a lot of big names. Josh Allen, I guess you could say, but other than that, it's a lot of just really solid players. And I just think that again, they have some playmakers on that defense as well that, Justin Herbert could slip up and make a mistake, and that could completely change the game as well. So yeah, I'm gonna pick the Jags. Also to note, I just do want to say this. He's not going to play, but J.C. Jackson has been the worst free agent signing in recent memory, I think.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. He's been hurt all year.
He has been absolutely horrible.
He came back, and then he got hurt, and then he came back. He was bad, then he got hurt again.
I literally forgot about him. That's how
Yeah,
bad he's
yeah.
been.
He was supposed to
Something-
change their secondary.
Khalil Mack, on the other
Yeah.
hand, has been damn good for them.
No, Khalil Mack has been a very good asset for them.
Yeah.
He was a good signing.
I think
But
something worth noting about this game. I definitely think the Jaguars are going to win. It's going to be really close though. And it's going to be a fun game. The Chiefs should definitely be rooting for the Jaguars because if I'm the Chiefs, the Chargers gave them fits twice, and the Chargers going back to Kansas City. I'm not saying I'd pick the Chiefs, but it could certainly be a headache. I think it could be a really close game because, like I said, those third round of divisional games in the playoffs are always super tough, especially when the one team sweeps the other team and they were close the first two times. It always seems to go the other way. Like the Rams last year, the Niners swept them, and then the Rams beat them in the NFC Championship game. I think the Chiefs should be rooting hard for Jacksonville because I don't think they'd have a problem handling them in the divisional round.
I completely agree with that point. I think whenever you're talking about like a divisional matchup in the playoffs, usually when you're rooting for a team, you usually want to root against your divisional rivals most likely because those teams see each other so often. They really know how the other teams play, and they're usually really close games because of that. So I think a team like the Chargers, I think the Chiefs are probably worried that if the Chargers could pull this through, that they could go have a tough game coming in the playoffs against a team that they've seen already twice this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree. All right, so yeah, that wraps up our first little segment here of our preview and predictions. Next, we're going to move on to bracket talk, which is we do a little thing with our little group here. We do playoff brackets, just kind of like a Super Bowl bracket pick sort of thing each year. So I guess we're just going to go over everyone who's done a bracket here on the show really quick. I guess I can start off with mine. I can just share my screen like I did before we started this call, and we can kind of just go over my bracket here. All right. So this is my bracket here. I have the Bills winning the Super Bowl. We kind of went over our wild card picks, so I guess I can kind of just move past that onto the divisional round. Our first matchup that I have is Chiefs Jags. Obviously, I think Jaguars win against the Chargers, and I think the Chiefs handle their business at home against the Jaguars. Bills Bengals. I have the Bills pulling that out. I think that could honestly be game of the year.
I think
In Buffalo, I think that's going to be a really high scoring game. And I think the Bills will pull it out just because of playoff experience. And Josh Allen, again, is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I favor him over Burrow. Eagles Seahawks. I think the Eagles are going to demolish the Seahawks. I think their Cinderella run ends in Philly. And Vikings Bucks. I honestly think that the Vikings could beat the Bucks. Again, just star power, and I honestly, I'm a big Tom Brady hater. I think Brady will play well. I just don't think he can pull it out against the Vikings' high-scoring offense. I just don't think he'll be able to keep up.
in Minnesota too is a big deal.
Yeah. In the conference round, I have Chiefs Bills. I have the Bills pulling out against the Chiefs in Kansas City. I think they're going to get revenge for what happened to them last year with that whole overtime game, 13 seconds in the fourth quarter. I think they win this year. And then Eagles Vikings, I think the Eagles handle their business again. I just think the Eagles have the best roster in the league. I think they have an elite player at almost every position on their team. And I have Bills Eagles in the Super Bowl, and I have the Bills pulling this out. I just think this is their year. I really do. I think this is. I think it'll be a really close game. Like my final score says 28-24, but I think Josh Allen is going to outplay Jalen Hurts. And I think this is the Bills' year. So that's my Super Bowl prediction. That's my bracket here. But yeah, here. Who wants to go next? Because I have everyone's bracket saved here on my computer.
I can go.
Okay,
you can pull mine up or not. Whatever.
I just made one, by the way, so I can share my screen.
Okay,
that's fine.
Here's Declan's.
All right. I gave my wild card picks. I've been going back and forth on Vikings and Giants. But that game, like I said, doesn't matter. They're going to get demolished by whoever. I think what's important here is I think the Niners roster is just so overwhelmingly talented. I think the AFC could be one of those top 3 teams. I obviously don't feel super strongly, but I think I trust Mahomes the most and Andy Reid. And I think we're going to rematch at the Super Bowl from 3 years ago, Kansas City and San Francisco. And I think San Francisco pulls it out this time. I think just the abundance of talent on offense with the mind that is Kyle Shanahan drawing up plays for a running back in McCaffrey who can also play receiver, a receiver in Debo who can also play running back, a tight end in Kittle who can also play right tackle. It's a ridiculous team with all this ridiculous talent, and their defense is insanely good. I think Kansas City's been good. Kansas City's been real good, but they've struggled against really good teams. They beat the Niners earlier in the year, and I understand that. But if you remember when the Tampa won the Super Bowl, Kansas City also kind of handled Tampa in that regular season game. It kind of feels like a
Tyreek
similar.
Hill had like
Yeah,
almost 300
he had
yards.
like 200 yards in the first quarter.
Right.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. But it feels like a similar script if this were to go down this way. And Kansas City, I think they right their wrongs against Cincinnati and they right their wrongs against Buffalo, who they lost to both of this year. But I think the Niners pulled out with Brock Purdy, I guess. So I guess I'm fading the quarterback wins.
What a story that would be. One of
That'd
the
be-
best
that'd be
stories of all
wild.
time.
Bias. All right. Let me share my
Wait,
screen real
should
quick.
Zach, because he has my bracket, should he just
Oh yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
All
Zach
right,
can-
we'll do Jax here. and
Okay,
then we'll do
yeah.
Knicks.
just for convenience sake.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Let me pull this up real quick.
Thank you.
There we go. All right, this is Jack's bracket here.
Okay.
That's
So
Zach's bracket.
no, it's different than
It's very
Zach's
close, but
in a few ways. I have the Chiefs handling the Jaguars, which I don't think many people would have much problem with. I do agree with the Bills story that Zach has been talking about. Like I think that there's just like an energy that is now over that city and everything. And what I do want to point out is if it does go to Chiefs Bills in the championship game, they said it's going to be in Atlanta. It's going to be like a neutral site thing, which benefits the Bills because obviously it would be in Kansas City otherwise. So I think that could make it an even more evenly matched game than it would have been. I have the Eagles beating the Giants. Like I think the Giants, that's already an upset for them to beat the Vikings, but the Eagles there's not really a competition there. And I have the Niners beating the Cowboys. I think that'd be a pretty interesting game. Like those rosters are both extremely talented. We've been talking so much about how talented the 49ers roster is, but it is true. Like they just really are loaded at every position group. But so I think they could pull it out, and I think Brock Purdy might have some tricks up his sleeve. You never know. Everyone seems to love this guy, so
Yeah.
but I do think the Eagles would beat Brock Purdy if it comes to it. I don't know. Like Jalen Hurts has had a really good season, and that team is also really good. So, but if it gets to the championship game, I think I'd pick the Bills and Josh Allen, to clutch it out. That's how I'd have it shaping up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also
in
did
conclusion-
want to say Philly for the Philly 49ers game. I also did want to say Philly is a very hard city to play in, especially in the playoffs. So for a rookie in Brock Purdy, I think it would be a very tough
Yeah, he'd have a tough time.
game
It'd
to
be
pull out a win there.
his first road playoff
Yep.
game.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, actually put that back up.
Hmm.
Jack's bracket real quick.
Okay.
Oh no.
What's he wanted?
I
Okay.
actually have almost the exact same bracket.
Okay.
Other than I have the Buccaneers beating the Cowboys, but they lose to the Niners anyway. I agree with
Okay.
almost everything Jack said. I think that arguably a better roster than the Niners, but probably not, is the Eagles because of that QB difference. And I think I think they win. I think they beat the Niners, like you said, because they're at home, and Brock Purdy is a rookie.
Mr.
And
Irrelevant.
I'm repeating the same stuff here, but I think this is the Bills' year. I do. Even before the DeMar Hamlin stuff, it really felt like I feel like this is the year where they beat the Chiefs. I think that's what it comes down to, and at least in the AFC.
There's
I think
no
they would.
Tyreek
I don't think
anymore.
they're gonna beat the Bengals. That's my thing. Like I think
Really?
I think you guys all have Bills over Eagles in the Super Bowl. I think Cincinnati has been playing. They were going to win that game in Cincinnati. They were about to go up 14-3. They were driving no problem before the horrific tragedy that was the DeMar Hamlin injury. But I think Cincinnati is going to beat the Bills in Buffalo if they have to play, which, by the way, should also be a mutual sight because Cincinnati was also robbed of a chance to have a home game there if they would have beaten them. But that's neither here nor there. I think the Bills are as talented. Actually, not actually. I think they're as good as anybody thanks to how good Josh Allen is. But talent-wise, their offense it's Allen and Diggs, and then kind of hoping those two guys save them. Whereas the Bengals are loaded everywhere on offense. And
Gabe Davis could have a big game maybe, but
yeah, Gabe Davis has been on and off this year. He's been not that good.
They have it's like Stephon Diggs and then a bunch of like
a bunch of
wide receivers.
I mean, don't disrespect Isaiah McKenzie. Come on,
John Brown. Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless said John Brown, that young kid John Brown, who looks like he's going to be a star someday. He's 33 years old.
He said that.
He said that.
Yeah, he said that. He's like, this kid Brown looks like he's going to be a star. I'm like, John Brown is 33 years old and has 2 1,000-yard seasons.
Skip's getting a little old for TV.
Yeah, but
I do want to say though, the Bills, Devin Singletary he had a good year this year, and then James Cook has also been pretty solid this year as well. So it's not like they don't have a rushing game this year. Like
they just don't use it.
They might have last year. They have some solid running backs now. But yeah, I also think that I think that the Bills I just think that ever since the DeMar Hamlin stuff, that team is like an extra fire has been lit under that team, and they have even more of a reason to
I could see them
believe in themselves.
Yeah. And imagine I could definitely see the scenario. I don't know if DeMar Hamlin got released from the hospital, I think yesterday or today. It'd be something if he, led them out of the
like a legend of the game or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got placed in IR, so he's obviously not going to play
something
this
also
season,
to look at, Declan, is I don't remember what the Alex Kappa injury situation was.
Yeah, and they did lose, and they lost La'el Collins the week before.
They lost the year, 2 offensive linemen.
That's their entire right side. But at the same token, the Bills lost. Yeah, at the same token, the Bills lost Von Miller, and that
was a long time ago.
Yeah,
they've been dealing without him all year. This is
and they have other edge rushers. Greg Rousseau.
No, yeah, I was gonna say Greg Rousseau has been pretty solid this year.
Yeah.
And they just have some good rotational guys on that team.
Yeah, right.
They always do.
So in conclusion, good teams are going to win. Do we know
about Alex Kappa? What the
deal? He said he's going to be hard for him to play.
He's in a walking boot.
Yeah.
Bengals rule him out for this week. We don't know about next week, but he's already out for the Ravens game.
Okay.
But yeah. All right. So moving on from our brackets, we're going to move on to our locks of the week. We have 2 locks of the week that we decided on before we started the show. The first one is a little bit different than the second one. We have our player prop lock, which is we think that Richie James is going to get under 50.5 receiving yards this week. So hammer the under.
Crazy line.
Hammer the under.
50.5 is wild for
Richie James. I'm sorry. I don't see him popping off against the Vikings. I think we all can agree that we're going to hammer the under there. So take the under 50.5 receiving yards for Richie James. You will make funny.
You won't regret this decision.
Put your mortgage on it.
Yeah, put the house on it. Throw the house.
This is not gambling advice.
Throw the car.
This is not
They'll show this clip when they're suing you, Declan.
This is not gambling advice.
And then our team lock of the week is Jags plus 2.5. That's just kind of explainable. We kind of already went over that already.
Yeah, we do talk about that.
Jags plus 2.5. And then Declan, I guess I'll let you talk about the weekend parlay.
So the weekend parlay. The parlay I came up with this week is a 3-team 7-point teaser. So we're adding 7 points to the spread. We're moving the spread 7 points from where it was. So we think if we move the Bengals from 9.5 to 2.5, we're all Ravens fans. So we hope this doesn't happen, but we're also capable of thinking, and we know there's no chance the Bengals don't win this game by more than a field goal or more. So we're moving the Bengals down to -2.5. The Bills from 13.5 down to 6.5, down to -6.5. And we're taking the Jags, our lock, and adding 7 in the other direction and moving it up to +9.5. Those three alternate lines strung together on FanDuel get you a 3-leg parlay at about +116. I think feel safe on all of those bets, and I think it's free money is what I'm saying. For infinite money glitch.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
throw the house on this as well. Throw it all on this.
Throw the beach house on this one.
Yeah, we know what we're
Yeah.
talking about. We're experts here.
We're experts.
Yeah,
Kobe
we are
played in the
experts,
league for
so-
5 years.
We have never missed a parlay on this show ever.
That's never,
So-
yeah,
never
yeah.
happened.
Undefeated.
No, yeah, don't worry about what episode this show, like which episode this is. We haven't lost a parlay ever on the show. Just throw all your savings on this bet here. Trust
Take out a
us.
loan. Go to the bank,
Yeah.
take out a loan. Put
You
that
will
on the
not
bet,
regret
too.
doing that. But yeah, so that's our bets for the week. I don't think we have much else
All
to
right.
talk about except for our weekly question of the day, which Nick has got for us.
Sponsored by Nick
Um,
Miller.
Yeah, sponsored by Nick
Sponsor-
Miller. Take it away, Nick. What do you got
All
for
right.
us?
This is going to be a staple moving forward in the Bird Rights podcast for all of our different sports episodes, if you will. We're gonna have a weekly question of the day, and what do you think at the end of when should we tally it all up the score? What do you think?
Oh,
I mean,
And then-
I guess I'd say at the here, let's do end of the NBA season, the regular season, which is a little bit far away. It's in like April, May. So
That works.
It's a few months.
Mm-hmm.
to do
sure.
it.
Oh, we'll do it. We'll do it then. All right. The question of the day: what Motown singer tried out for the Detroit Lions in 1970?
What?
1970.
There's 4 options here:
Okay.
Okay.
Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, or Lionel
Stevie
Richie.
Wonder.
Which one?
I think
what was
Marvin
the last one?
Everyone, write your answers down. Then we'll
What was the
we'll
last?
tell.
What was the last?
What
one?
was
The last one was Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Write it down somewhere. Type it on your notes on your phone or something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna type it on my notes.
Mm.
We couldn't
Who was
get
the
rights
first
to the
one?
actual Jeopardy music.
Smokey
Who's the first
Robinson,
Smokey Robinson. Okay.
Marvin Gaye,
Mhm.
Stevie Wonder, or
Stevie
Lionel
Wonder.
Richie.
I'm not really sure. All right, I have my answer.
My answer
So do
is
I.
also locked in.
All right, so we
All
all
right,
three.
let's go. I'll go left,
two-
right on my screen. Actually,
Okay,
no, we'll do
okay,
it one more. You first, Jack.
I'm gonna say Lionel Richie. I don't know if
All
you can
right.
see it.
Lionel Richie. Over to Zach.
Took Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye.
Okay.
All right, and Declan.
Took Marvin Gaye.
Declan
Two
took
Marvin
Marvin Gaye
Gayes.
as well.
Yes.
And the correct answer was Jack looks nervous. The correct answer was Marvin Gaye
Ooh.
was the correct
Let's
answer.
go, Marvin Gaye.
Let's go.
No.
Let's go.
Zach and Declan started
Terrible.
off
She wants to
with 1
Marvin
point
Gaye.
each.
So Marvin Gaye tried out for the Detroit
A
Lions.
little neat. All right.
I wonder what
Interesting.
position he tried out for.
You know what? I can.
Let's look that up.
He
Yeah.
Gay bulked up nearly 30 pounds and trained with future Hall of Fame tight end Charlie Sanders while preparing for his
Ooh.
tryout. He didn't make the cut, but remained close to several players who sang background vocals on his 1971 hit "What's Going On."
I'll tell you
Wow.
That's kind of cool. That's kind
I'll
of
tell
cool.
you
I
what.
didn't know
I'll
that.
tell you
Yeah.
what.
Crazy.
If Stevie Wonder was the
Banger
answer
first
here,
question of the day.
if Stevie Wonder was
gonna
the
say.
answer here, I would have lost my mind.
That was gonna be absurd.
I was this close to picking Stevie Wonder as my answer.
That was a
Alright.
throwaway at least. I mean, if it,
Zach, you want to give us an outro, Zach?
Line
yeah,
this.
yeah. All
What
right, so,
happened?
Thanks everyone for listening to episode 1 of the Bird Rights podcast. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by Jack, Declan, and Nick, and we had a great time today. We'll see you guys. I think next Monday is our next scheduled pod, so we'll have an episode out coming next Monday. But yeah,
Probably won't come out Monday. Probably.
It will,
after
yeah,
that.
yeah. We're recording next Monday. Yeah.
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 We'll edit
Great.
all this
Thank
out.
you guys very much for listening. We appreciate it.